Hello and welcome to everybody. A happy Ubuntu evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. It is now 8 p.m. here in South Africa. And I'd like to welcome everybody that's joining us. And thanks to Neil for setting it up with the technology. As always, Neil, fantastic, as professional as can be. And also thanks to Rebecca and Alethea who've joined us. I also invited Travis from Austin. Unfortunately, I have not been able to connect with him. And I invited Lee in the UK. Lee is unfortunately also otherwise occupied today. So we'll just go through this and get as much information as we can, share as much as we can about the Ubuntu movement, our growth, our strategies, and the good news and some of the challenges that are facing us. So thanks for joining us. It's always wonderful to talk about Ubuntu and contributionism. It always brings a joy and a smile to my face and joy to my life. I've just completed a tour of the UK where I was promoting, obviously, the Ubuntu philosophy. I did a few Ubuntu workshops. I was in Slovakia, in Bosnia, in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. So right in the heart of Europe. And as always, huge amount of excitement and enthusiasm. And as you may know from your own experiences, what happens when you do these workshops is people get so excited they want to jump up and do something. They want to run out and do things and get involved. And that's when they start to realize that things are not always that easy and that simple. And we need to start creating the platform and the solutions to make it simple and easy. But we're faced with some challenges. And I need to say it right up front. The continued ongoing challenge for us here at the Ubuntu office is funding and having enough funds to actually keep things going. There is no magical channel from which money comes. If we don't get funding from our members, then there is no money. It means I have to provide the funding for everything. And I want to thank the people that have signed up and make monthly contributions. Thank you very much, because it is the little bit of money that comes through. And at this stage, the emphasis is on a little. And a little bit of money that helps to pay the electricity bills, helps to pay the web, the IT, some of the IT stuff so we can actually stay online, and helps me pay some of the costs that are associated with the Ubuntu movement. Which, as you can imagine, can be quite astronomical when you travel and buy aeroplane tickets and have to move through hotels in Europe that are sometimes very expensive. So what I've learned on this trip through Europe is that there is an incredible excitement for the Ubuntu movement, for the philosophy, especially the one small town strategy, and I'll talk about that. Let me just follow my notes here so I don't stray too much off the points. So the introduction and welcome is hello and welcome to everybody. I think we've done that now. So let me just can we just bring Alethea in and Rebecca in just to say hello so that the other people online can see their faces and that they're with us, and then I'll come back to Alethea and to Rebecca in a short while when we get to your individual activities. Hi, Alethea. Alethea is up in Canada.
Hello.
In
Hi.
Hi, Alethea. So I'll bring you in when we talk about, you're going to be discussing the exciting developments in your alternative education system there. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, we've got lots of exciting things to report.
Excellent. And whatever else you have to share with us. And then, Rebecca, are you with us? Oh, there you are. Great to see you again, Rebecca, as always.
Yeah,
Rebecca will be with us what's happening in the USA team.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't able to get hold of the Kansas City group, but maybe you have some updates from them. But then, yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing what I know.
Excellent. So let me just go through some of these notes. We'll switch you off for now and come back to you in a little while. So for people that are new to the Ubuntu movement, very briefly, a very brief history. Actually, before I get there, just to finish Alethea, thanks Alethea, just to cut your video there. Just to share with people where I have been on tour this year and where the Ubuntu philosophy and workshops have been done. Obviously, the USA, and that's our annual USA tour. Just 1 second. I just need to turn the fan on here because I'm boiling up. We've just hit midsummer here, and today was like 36 degrees Celsius. What is that? That's about 100 Fahrenheit, and I just turned the fan off before we started, and I realized that I actually needed it back on. So, no air conditioning here, just a fan. USA is always great. That's really for everyone in the Ubuntu movement. The USA is really the backbone and the foundation that is the biggest support base. Obviously, South Africa is the second largest. That faces challenges, as you can imagine. The tour in the USA was as successful as it always is, starting with Contact in the Desert, where we meet and share the philosophy with so many people, and then moved on to 8 other cities with Neil, and did workshops and presentations there in the USA. In 2019, we're planning a tour of 22 cities, so it's going to be the biggest tour in many, many years. So please spread that information and support me in that wherever you can. So in whatever way you can. Then after the USA, I had a few meetings with mayors in Southern Africa. I'll talk more about that when we talk about the countries and the mayors and the one small town interaction that we've had. And then I did a tour of the UK where we did 4 cities, Manchester, London, Glastonbury, and then also Stockholm, Sweden, for the first time in Sweden. And there was an amazing energy there that I was so blown away by the incredible reception and the excitement of the people in Sweden, Stockholm. And then also when I arrived in Gothenburg, even there, the energy is amazing. I did not do a workshop there or a presentation, so that needs to be on the next trip to Scandinavia. People came from all over, from Lithuania, from Norway, from Finland, from Denmark, to Stockholm, Sweden, to meet me and talk about Ubuntu. And then we went out afterwards in a big group and really created a very strong bond of the people that came to meet me there. Very exciting when you have that kind of connection. So lots of love and gratitude to all the people that I met in Sweden. And I look forward to seeing you again. Then back in South Africa, back to the grindstone here, trying to keep the home fires burning. As you know, it's the moment you leave home and you leave your home base behind, things go wrong. So inevitably, when I come back home, I'm gonna come back and start patching up a few things that go off the tracks here. Remember that I do the tours to the ancient ruins, and that's really what keeps things going and keeps the income coming in. That keeps me, allows me to keep the Ubuntu movement going. So the more successful I am with the tours and the books and the information of the vanished civilizations and the stone circles and the ancient ruins and the technology and all that stuff that is attracting more and more people every year, the more income there is for me to spend on the Ubuntu movement. And in essence, that's where most of the money and funding has come to keep the Ubuntu movement running, is from the money and income that I've been very blessed to bring in from the tours and the research and the books about the ancient civilizations and our human origins. Then I came back and we were in South Africa again for a few weeks, and then we went back to Europe Emma and I went back to Europe, and we just finished that final tour now. We've only been back for literally 4 days. We got back on Wednesday, was our first day back. So this webinar caught me slightly off guard. I wanted to be a lot more prepared for it, but there is so much exciting stuff to report. And this visit, as I said, to Slovakia, where I did a full-day workshop, and then I visited Bosnia, the Bosnian Pyramid with Sam Osmanagic, and I met a lot of people there. Then we did workshops and presentations in Germany, Austria, and in Switzerland, which was really very, very overwhelming to get such an amazing turnout of people there. So that's what's happened in 2018, and so much more to come still. What else do I need to cover here? New and current strategy. So I was going to talk to you briefly about the brief history of the Ubuntu movement for people that are new. This philosophy started 2005, really when I started researching origins of humankind, and realized that, and started writing my book, Slave Species of God, and realized that there was a time in history that money didn't exist. Upon a deeper inspection of that, it became very clear that money was introduced to humanity at a very specific point in time. That information is well documented in the Sumerian texts, and it has basically shown us that there was a time when humanity, or when kingdom, was lowered to earth from heaven. And in the same Sumerian text that these stories are recalled, it is also recalled that the first priest kings that were apparently appointed by these gods were the first priest kings that basically started to control the whole world. They started to issue money, and their temples became their first banks. And the phenomenal thing is that the first money they started to create was on clay tablets, and the system and the structure of creating the first forms of money on clay tablets is exactly the same structure that our modern banking system uses today. Nothing has changed. It's all to do with bills of exchange, promissory notes, checks, and what we call collectively negotiable instruments, all smoke and mirrors, all black magic. And this is why so many people refer to it as the Babylonian black magic money system. And that is, nothing has changed. So this is when the whole philosophy of that money is not there to help us, that money was actually created as an absolutely total, complete tool of enslavement. And the philosophy was introduced as a finished, perfectly planned model to enslave humanity. So once I realized that and figured out that that is the slavery system that enslaves us today, and that the royal bloodlines that still run the world today are the descendants of the ancient kings that initiated this ancient money, Babylonian money system, it became clear that we need to find a way out of this. And then a fascinating period of trial and error started, really. How do we get out of this? Because it's not easy. And as we often do as humanity, we try and oppose and we try and fight the system that is enslaving us. And unfortunately, that has been the model that has kept us enslaved for thousands and thousands of years. At this stage, based on my recent calculations, it's around 6,000 years, and possibly between 6 and 10,000 years that the slavery has been going on, using money as a tool of enslavement. And the one thing that we've been doing as humanity is constantly rising up to try and fight the system, to try and overthrow it, and then just to be replaced by the same kind of financial control system, because we don't know why we're being enslaved. What is it that enslaves us? So it is really the true and deep understanding and full comprehension. Let's not use that word understanding, right? That comes from the slavery system as well. Stand under someone's authority. I don't stand under anyone's authority. Many of you should know this by now. So it's the full comprehension of what money really is, how it controls us. And only when we come to truly comprehend what money is, how it was originally created, who controls it, who controls the issuing and the manufacturing and the creation of money and the distribution of money around the world today, in the world today, until we come to terms with that, we will never be able to free ourselves from the slavery system. And no matter where you go in the world, it's all the same. The entire world is run by the very small number of people that control the supply of money. And remember, because they control the supply of money, it's not about how much money anyone has. It's about the control of money. People keep getting this wrong. They keep thinking that the rich people run the world. No, the rich people are just a bunch of idiots. Well, many of them are actually quite smart because they play the game and they get very rich because of that. But the rich people are just a bunch of individuals who've been given the grace and the permission by those who control the money supply and control the governments. They've been given basically the grace to become very wealthy, but by that process then also invited into the very exclusive inner group of people that become the elite, part of the elite who actually run the world. And they get brought in under some very mysterious and not very nice conditions and rituals and so forth, which we've seen many movies about. So the Ubuntu movement then started to grow, and we created the Ubuntu Party here in South Africa in 2009. It got registered by 2010, and believing that we could put a foundation of and seed a seed of consciousness, or a virus of consciousness, or a seed of consciousness into the political beast, and bring in change that way, and started to promote the concept of the fact that the banks create money out of thin air, that the central banks are private companies owned by a small group of people that are controlled from Basel, Switzerland. And it's fascinating that I did my workshop and presentation in Basel, Switzerland, on this trip I've just come back from in Europe. And I actually went up to the Bank for International Settlements, or the BIS, in Basel, Switzerland, just to see this place, to see where the global control sits. It is quite an eerie feeling, I must tell you, when you stand there looking at this insignificant building, this round building in the middle of Basel in the old city. And you know that that is the building from where the entire world is controlled, because that is where all the central banks are controlled from, including the Fed in the USA, the Bank of England, South African Reserve Bank. All the central banks and the reserve banks of the world are controlled from that one building. And that building, again, if you're not aware of this, is then controlled by the brain or the masterminds from the City of London. I'm not talking about London town or London city. I'm talking about the City of London, a private corporation, that square mile in the city in the heart of London, where the temple is, and where the temple was built in 1088 or somewhere around there. I forget the exact date. And that is where the global control of the money sits, with all the invisible families that run and control the global financial scam. So this is really the foundation and the background that led to the Ubuntu movement trying to present an alternative, sharing knowledge and information with people, because until people are informed, they have the knowledge and they comprehend the control of the global money supply, we cannot get out of it. Because remember, we can't change the system with the same kind of thinking that was used when the system was built around us. So we need to step out of that box and change the kind of thinking. And we also we cannot use the same tools that were used to create the system. We have to use a whole different set of tools to create a new system. And as Buckminster Fuller very eloquently put it, that we cannot change a system by fighting it. To create a new system can be achieved by creating a system that makes the existing system obsolete. And that is exactly where the Ubuntu movement has evolved into. So it's been a process of slow evolution through trial and error, getting into politics in South Africa, in the UK, in Australia, where we ran. In South Africa, I ran in political campaigns in 2012, 2014, and finally in 2016. In the UK, we ran in political campaigns in 2015 in 2 constituencies. In Australia, Liam Manley ran for Governor or Premier of New South Wales under the Ubuntu banner in 2016 as well. So we've tried the political route only to realize and learn from that experience. Again, all of this has been a learning experience. In essence, we arrived at the conclusion and learned from all that, what not to do. And what not to do has become the guiding light and the very exciting direction where we are right now. So we can say with absolute joy in my heart, and I believe in many people's hearts that are part of the Ubuntu growth, and the people that are driving the Ubuntu movement, and the meetup groups in their own towns, in their own countries, in their own areas, I believe we're sitting now with a flawless and a beautifully evolved plan of action, which has come out of that, which is the one small town can change the world. Because getting involved in politics made me realize, and made many people around me realize, that we cannot be involved in politics. The moment we get involved in politics, we become an opposition. We oppose the existing system, and we become an enemy to all the other parties. And that's the last thing we want to do with the Ubuntu movement. We want to bring people together. We want to unite people. We want to create prosperity and abundance through unity, through cooperation, through collaboration, not through any violence, opposition, or conflict. And that's ultimately what it became. So even the election in 2016 in South Africa, the last election that we managed, was already promoted on that basis. We wanted to just win one municipality so that we could implement the one small town can change the world strategy. Unfortunately, as you know, the elections are completely controlled and rigged. We learned this throughout 2014, especially in South Africa when I ran for president with the Ubuntu Party in the national elections. And that's when I learned that the outcome of the elections is completely and utterly controlled by some invisible force, someone that's got incredible control and power. And it is the people that run the governments, that pull the strings, that pay the for example, in South Africa, it's the Independent Electoral Commission, the IEC, that runs the elections. And every country has these independent electoral commissions under different names. Those are paid by the bankers. So they run and create the outcome of the election, whichever way the bankers want it to fall. So this is where we've learned. We've come to this point. We know what the problem is in the world. Nobody is happy. You know this. I know this. Everybody knows it. Wherever I go in the world and I ask, how many people in this room are happy with the way the world is going? No one ever puts their hand up. So we all know collectively that the world is fundamentally flawed, that something is dramatically wrong, that we work like slaves from day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year, and very few people know how to get out of this mess. Now, through the Ubuntu movement and our trial and error and what is it, 13 years now, since 2005, that this movement and the philosophy has grown and evolved beautifully, organically, through trial and error and our own personal experiences, we can truly say that we've walked the walk and walked the talk. We didn't just jump to a conclusion and say, oh, we're going to do this or we're going to do that. This has been a very interesting and many times painful blood, sweat, and tears process. And here we are, at the end of 2018, very excited. There are so many incredible prospects. There's so many people that have joined us on the One Small Town strategy. We've had so many successes already. We've had new challenges, but now it's all about the implementation of this very simple strategy. For those that have not yet seen the One Small Town Can Change the World video, please do so. Please share it with everybody. I think it's time to make a new video, slightly updated version of that, because there are a few parameters that have shifted a bit, because the Ubuntu philosophy and the One Small Town strategy is a living philosophy. It keeps changing and evolving and improving itself. And like I've been saying for so many years now, it is a philosophy that it's a self-correcting system. It always corrects itself for the best outcome for the people in that community or those that are implementing that strategy for themselves. And I'm finding it more and more and more. We'll talk about North Frontenac in Canada, the success and the challenges that they've got there with Ron Higgins. And we'll talk about a few other things. So that is really where we are, a brief outline and a background where we've come from. So our main global strategy for the Ubuntu movement has evolved into the following. One small town is our primary strategy. We need to find mayors and that love the strategy, that resonate with the strategy, that comprehend what it is that we're trying to do, and work with those mayors, give them support, the mayors and the councils that work together to implement that strategy. We have learned so much more since Ron Higgins has implemented this in North Frontenac. And I'll be sharing some of that with you as well here. And obviously from the Q&A in the second hour, we're going to go through a lot of those, a lot of that detail. What I'd like to say as well is that I've had contact with mayors all over the world. In the last 12 months, literally, we've had contact with mayors in Canada, the USA, the UK, Australia, the Philippines, Brazil, Germany, Austria, Swaziland, Madagascar, and a few other countries. And most importantly, right now, as I speak to you, South Africa. South Africa, against all expectations, has taken, I suppose right now, the leading role and the leading position in the One Small Town Can Change the World implementation. So the strategy is one small town can change the world. We need to use, the One Small Town Can Change the World, and then one small gathering, because this is really important. People ask me all the time, what can I do and how can I participate? Very simple. Start a meetup group in your area. Read as much as you can. Get the Ubuntu book. Download whatever information is on the internet. And I'm doing the best I can to keep the website updated with challenges, as you can imagine, with no funding or very little funding. It is an ongoing problem. So read as much as you can, start a local meetup group, and share the information with the people. Don't just get heavy about the world and how terrible things are. Use the meetup groups to talk about positive things and implementation and strategy and how you're going to do things. And read the proposal letter to the mayor. The proposal letter, it's a 10-page letter to the mayor. It's a standard letter that can be used by anyone, anywhere, to just change the name of the mayor and the council, and then sign it, and then hand that letter to the mayor as is, and wait for them to come back to you. Read the Ubuntu One Small Town manifesto on the onesmalltown.org website, and it should also be on the ubuntuplanet.org website. Read the manifesto, read the proposal letter to the mayor, and then find the mayor, give it to the mayor, and talk about these things in your meetup groups. Plan a strategy as to how to approach the mayor. And if that is not the solution, if the mayor and the council are not a solution in your area, then find the most appropriate person from your meetup group that could possibly stand as the mayor in the next election. That should really be our very simple and single-minded approach. And then thirdly is the one small project or one small farm. And that can come out of the one small meetup group, one small gathering meetings, where you can locally decide what little project you can start, whether it's growing food together, whether it's starting an alternative schooling or education system, or whatever it is that you feel is suitable for your situation and your community. And I know Alethea and Rebecca will add a lot more light to this in their time. And so from the meetup groups comes very strong cohesion, knowing that you're not alone, knowing that you're not crazy, knowing that there are other people in your community that think like you do, that want a better life for themselves and especially for their children. Because if we don't do this right now, our children have no future. And you know this, I know this, everybody knows this. We are so messed up right now, it cannot get any worse. So it literally comes down to us. I don't know of any other movement that is out there right now that has a strategy and a plan of action. Otherwise, I'd be following them and supporting them. So right now, the Ubuntu movement has taken, in my opinion, and this is why I'm doing it and why other people are doing it and joining us. I believe we have the simple solution for the world, for all of humanity, because the solution that we have brings the people of the community together. We use, this is really important, we use the tools of enslavement as tools of liberation. This is a critical thing that I need to repeat. We use the tools of enslavement as tools of liberation. And by this, I mean we use money. We use the corporate system, the corporate structure, the pyramid structure of compartmentalization and control. We use all of that, because that is the system that controls our towns. We use the mayors that have been appointed. The mayors are, in essence, a political appointee, because they work within the political system and the political structure. We're not creating alternative currencies or alternative money. The moment you create anything like that, you will run into trouble. We all run into trouble, because we could be deemed to be illegal or breaking the law or anything. We can't do any of that. So we use the existing mayors, we use the existing structure, the existing money, the existing systems, the existing roads, farms, plumbing, electricity supply, the existing infrastructure of small towns to just do one thing that we do different. We do one thing different, and that is, instead of competition, we turn competition into cooperation and collaboration. And we start creating communal and community farms and factories and computer high-tech installations, community health centers and health and wellness centers instead of hospitals. And slowly but surely, we start creating communal and community-owned businesses and project and food growing activities in these small towns that are owned by the people of that town and collectively owned by the investors that make it possible. Once these projects start to make money, we will no longer need to have investors to invest in our towns. And that is the incredible tipping point and the critical mass point of success. The moment the projects that we start as a collaborative effort of people and mayor and council under the One Small Town strategy, the moment that money starts to come in, we will no longer need investors. So it's really in the first wave push that we need the first funding and investors to come in and set up and establish the cornerstone industries, food growing, technology, healthcare, etc. After that, we will no longer need funding because we'll be bringing our own money in such quantities that most people cannot imagine in our current way of thinking. So basically, just a repetition, we do not promote the establishment of and the setting up of intentional communities. Even now on my trip to Europe, and in Europe, many people came to me and said, yeah, we're building a community here and we want to start a community there. And I immediately have to stop them. I don't discourage people if they do this, but I want to stop them and tell them, look, the Ubuntu movement is not about building and setting up intentional communities. We've tried it. I've tried it, and it came at a great cost personally and on many levels. Try to get people to start intentional communities in our town here, Waterval-Boven, growing food, starting all kinds of projects. I've had my friends start intentional communities, not just in South Africa, in other parts of the world, with absolute disaster. They do not work. 99.9% intentional communities fail, and people that start them and get involved become enemies. From being friends, they end up becoming enemies. And the people that own the land, in most instances, end up actually losing the land that they've offered up for these initiatives. And that is not a good thing. We don't want to promote that in any case. There have been successful intentional communities in the past 60 years and more that have become well known around the world and are great examples of how some of these communities can work very well. But because these are just intentional communities, like a little hub of people that work together, it's just a bigger extension of a personalized ego. Instead of me, 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 now it's us, us, us. So if it's not good for those people, and if you're not part of that clique, then you actually can't benefit from it. What we're doing, we're actually opening up that. By the One Small Town strategy, we invite everyone and anyone into our town that can contribute towards the well-being and the prosperity and the abundance of the One Small Town, or our small town that we initiate this philosophy in. So please don't confuse One Small Town strategy with starting an intentional community. They are two very different things. The other thing is that people say, oh yeah, you're you're going against your own philosophy, creating a world without money. I'm saying you're misreading this. We're creating a world in which money is no longer going to be needed. That is down the road, but we're going to need money. In fact, we're going to need loads of money to do this. That's unfortunately the way it is. Every time people try and do this without money, it ends the same way. It's a disaster. So let's not be apologetic about this. Let's take this. We take the tools of enslavement. We take the money and we bring it in like martial arts, and we don't fight it. We don't oppose it. We don't reject it. We take it in and we bring it in, and we actually welcome it with open hearts, and we use that money and use that funding so that we can turn it around for the benefit of our town, benefit of our community, to set up the foundations for the community projects, for the communal projects that belong to the people collectively, and with whoever funds that, or wherever those funds come from, or the funders that fund that. So that is a very simple strategy. I hope that I've made that clear, given you a bit of background. Right now, what we've had, the most exciting recent event in the world of Ubuntu has been Travis Duncan in the USA that ran for mayor in Austin, Texas. Unfortunately, Travis, I haven't been able to get hold of Travis since I came back from Europe. I don't know if he's gone on holiday, because he ran for mayor, and he created a lot of attention. He got about 7,500 votes in the final count, I believe. So 7,500 people in Austin, Texas, the capital of Texas, the largest state in the USA, 7,500 people are on the same page as Travis. That is a huge breakthrough, everybody. So right now in the USA, we've got a beautiful foundation, a very strong foundation to bounce from and use that as a platform for the rest of the USA and to start meetup groups in Austin, Texas to really take that to a whole nother level. And I know that when I was there with Travis in August, no, it wasn't in August, sorry, in June, when I was in Austin with him and did a workshop there, it was unbelievable. The amount of people that he met, the amount of lives that he's changed, the amount of hope and excitement that he's brought to the people of Austin is unimaginable. And as you know, if you don't know Travis, he's just an incredible human being. He's such a joy to listen to, and he's really got it. He's got it. If you haven't watched his video, please go to We Are the Mayor, wearethemayor.com or .org. I'm not sure now which one it is. And watch his latest little promo that he did for his mayoral candidacy. It is so inspiring and so beautiful to watch. So well done, Travis, to you. You are awesome, brother. And I'm so proud of you. And so are thousands and possibly hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people at this stage. They will watch that video in years to come and know how brilliant and brave you were to take that on. And there are other people. In Sweden, we have Kasoti that, and other people in Sweden that told me they are talking to their mayors. But the most important one is Kasoti in a town of Hoor, H-O-O-R, that has already spoken to the mayor, who loved the One Small Town strategy and wants to implement the One Small Town strategy. Now, I've also not been able to get hold of Kasoti before this. I invited him to join us. From the last discussion I had with him in Stockholm was that the mayor in Hoor wanted to implement this, but I think it's a woman mayor, and she wanted to implement this after the elections in November. So I trust the elections in November are going to be over very soon, and I look forward to some real detailed feedback from Kasoti in Stockholm or in Sweden to let us know what is happening there. So that is a huge breakthrough there and very exciting activity. I mentioned already the towns and the countries where I've had contact with mayors. The biggest problem and challenge, let me not use the word problem. The biggest challenge for me, ongoing challenge, is funding, unquestionably. Unless and until we get sufficient funding, and by sufficient funding, let me put a figure down here. Until we have a minimum of $10,000 flowing through the Ubuntu office, it's going to be continuously very, very difficult to run the office, to answer emails, to get back to people, to interact with the people that run the Ubuntu movement in different countries. It becomes almost impossible to do that because I've still got to stay alive. I've still got to keep my home base going and keep doing what I do to keep me alive. I've sacrificed and done everything I could, spent all my resources, all my savings, all my retirement money on this movement, which has basically left me at the edge where I can no longer do that. So unless we start getting some real funding in, this is going to become a very difficult forward motion from now on. So whoever watches this video and you've got deep pockets, get involved, make some funds available to us so we can really make this work. And I believe that this route is opening up to us. I believe that funding is going to come because we have to believe this. So we keep pushing, and I keep doing whatever I can to make this work. So we've covered the countries where I've spoken to mayors. If we had the funding, I could have flown to the Philippines, I could fly to Sweden, I could fly to Australia, I could fly to Brazil, I could engage with all these mayors face to face and really drive this thing forward. But at this stage, it's completely impossible. There is simply no money to do that. So we keep going and keep the office going. But exciting things are happening in any case, and many people are doing amazing things. I know that that Katie and David Michael in Kansas City are doing incredible things. I hope that Rebecca is going to give us feedback on that. I have not had contact with them for a while. I know that Mayor Ron Higgins in North Frontenac is very excited about what's happening there. He made contact with me while I was in Europe, said we need to catch up. Unfortunately, there just has not been time for us to catch up. So we hope to get feedback on that from North Frontenac. They have their own challenges. But what I can tell you about South Africa, before I bring Alethea and Rebecca in, what I can tell you about South Africa is that we now have we have funding in place that will kick in as soon as the mayors have, no, actually the funding is kicked in, is available already. We're just waiting for a few final things to happen. But we have undertaking and signed and signatures from about 3 mayors at this stage, and interest from about 10 mayors in South Africa, from some small and medium-sized towns that want to implement the One Small Town strategy. I have entered into a collaboration with a very powerful South African activist movement, which is called the UDF, the United Democratic Front, and a very strong humanitarian presence through Tebogo, who is really driving this. And it's interesting because it's actually Tebogo Malema, who is Julius Malema's cousin. Julius Malema is one of the opposition parties in South Africa, and Tebogo is his cousin, who has been the leader of the UDF, United Democratic Front, very powerful social activist here in South Africa, and has access and can activate and mobilize thousands and thousands of people literally overnight. And this has been the shift. The moment that I aligned and started to do this with Tebogo, suddenly the door started to open to the mayors and the councils. And we have absolute buy-in, signatures from 2 or 3 mayors at this stage. I know we have a meeting now on Tuesday. I'm going to a meeting in a very big town, the most polluted town in South Africa, that has got a huge debt with the electricity supplier. And we're going to turn that upside down. So keep in mind, if you don't know this yet, we have our own supply of electricity, our own supply of alternative electricity that we bring in and install with the mayor and with the people of the town, so that our town is its own supply of electricity. It's tried and tested. It is not wishy-washy. We can provide electricity from anything from 1 megawatt to 500 megawatts to 1,000 megawatts. In South Africa, we're talking about providing more than 1,200 megawatts of electricity to a number of towns and municipalities. That's how big this has grown. We have Tebogo has secured funding from investors to implement this, so that the people of the town can then come and implement the number of projects and businesses that we've identified. It is really, really exciting. Again, one of my biggest problems right now as I talk to you is a lack of funding. For me to even put petrol in my car to drive to the meeting, which is a 6-hour drive for me on Tuesday, to drive to the meeting, take a day out of my life, go there, meet with the mayor, meet with the council, meet with all these people. All of this takes time and energy. So without funding, it gets more and more difficult. The more times I have to engage on the One Small Town, the more challenging it becomes without funding. I'm going to go on the funding thing quite a bit, so you realize how serious it is. So on the South African side, right now, I can tell you it is very exciting, more exciting than ever before. We're at the final stages with our energy partners to come and implement the electricity. And once that is implemented, there is no turning back, because then it'll be a real thing that everyone around the world, every city, every mayor, every town council can look at this and realize that this electricity model is real. It's not some fly-by-night or weird pipe dream. And I believe that'll create the domino effect around the world. However, there might be things happening I'm not even aware of. So I think I've shared enough for now. Let me bring in, shall we talk to Alethea in Canada, in the lovely town of Smithers. Alethea, tell us what's happening in Smithers. So just to let you know, Alethea first invited me. I went up to Smithers, and Alethea was gracious enough to raise funds to take me up to Smithers and pay for us and look after us very graciously and beautifully. And I did a presentation in the school hall to about 250 people. Since then, Alicia has been carrying on working against some resistance, I believe, but you can tell us what's been happening.
Sure. Well, it's been exciting because after you were here, I went into a bit of a depression because it's really difficult when you feel like you get it, but nobody else does. And I'm sure you've experienced that many times. But from that, a lot of other people came into my life. And I think too, it just was discouraging because we were trying to imagine how we would get a whole town on board. But when we broke it down further and said, well, is there just one system that we can change? And from that one system, can we prove that the model works and then bring it to other systems, like say to our food and agriculture? So I was already homeschooling my 3 sons. And so I was already very involved with the homeschool community, which is really strong here. So we thought, well, what if we brought contributionism into an education model? We are very, very fortunate where we live here in BC. There's a lot of flexibility with the way that education, that you can educate your child. And even with homeschooling, there's a lot of flexibility. So what we did was we got a group of like-minded homeschoolers together, and we got a model of homeschooling together where it didn't cost us any money. And we had an outdoor school started, but it's only 2 days a week. So that was great. But from that, we had this core group to work and say, how can we expand the model and bring in contributionism? So what we've done was we have a group of 20 families now. So I shouldn't say 20 families. There's 20 people involved in the group, and 6 of whom are educators who want to see a change. They want a school where children are free to learn what they want to learn and what they're interested in learning. Holistic, smaller groups, mixed ages, rather than having everyone the same age. These parts aren't contributionism. You can make it, I think that people can go on what their values are, but as a group, these were our values of what we wanted to, it's just a small list of our values that we wrote down in philosophies for education. The next thing that we did was we started to break down, like, would we bring in established models that are already out there? Would we bring in, would we partner with other, like say the Aboriginal community? They have schools in all their communities, and they're funded publicly and within they're free, but they're not within our same government structure. So they have a lot of freedom. So then we thought, well, can we partner with them that way? So we thought we'd merge home learners because of all the freedom that we have to educate our children as we please, and there isn't a lot of regulation. So we decided that we could create a school where technically they're still home learners, but we have every parent has agreed they'll contribute in some way. So if like one is a writer, one's a geologist, they will run these courses throughout the semester, not contributing too awfully much time. Like we keep using the model of the 3 hours a week, but really it might even be able to be less. And then if you weren't comfortable to teach children, could you contribute in another way? Secretarial, writing grants, of course, because it takes funds to do these things. Right now we have a classroom, but we will, as this moves forward, obviously we're going to need a better location probably, and also to pay for things like electricity and the costs to run some of these programs. But right now, a lot of the resources are taken care of. A lot of the in that the time together, the children are being cared for, so these parents can still work. Whereas in the home learning community, parents have to be present pretty much at all times. Now that poses a challenge for families who want to adopt a different education model, but don't have the liberty to do so because they both need to work. So what this, how this appealed is that now more people can access an alternative education model for their children and not just home learners, because this would open it up to more hours, more full time. We have
How many children have you got in the learning group now?
Well, presently at it's called Heartwood model so far. It's an already established model in our province. So we got that here as of September, and there are 20 children registered with that. And from that, and it's an outdoor program. It's fantastic. And the feedback has been amazing. The wait list is long. We actually need to get another teacher now because the one teacher doesn't want to work more than she's already working, and she's unbelievably fantastic and teaching these children fundamental skills, but in real world settings and not behind desks, and the children are thriving. And the other thing is that it's attracting a lot of children who don't fit the system. So one of our challenges is that we need to create a model that is inclusive, but where everyone can thrive. Because there's a lot of the children that are being attracted as well are, say, on the spectrum or have learning challenges or in other ways don't fit the model. Now, that's not all of them, but that's about 50%, which is higher than the public school systems, the ratio anyways. The other thing is that the group, which I thought was amazing, was rather than just keeping it within our own, just the kids that are registered. Oh, there's my son. We want to open this up externally. So within our community, we have a lot of brilliant and talented people. So for instance, we have a potter in this town, and she's like, well, could my kids take some of those courses, like the geology course, or there's a trained ballet instructor. She's a master, and she's like, can my daughter take her ballet course? So with that, there's that exchange of, well, if she said she'd be willing to offer a pottery course, then her children who are registered through the public school or herself could access some of the classes and courses that we would be providing. So then it becomes a whole community, like a community college almost, except for that there's no standardized, testing or ways to prove you've learned anything, but this is true education because it's skills and things that you've learned, you've internalized, you've mastered, just because there isn't a paper that follows it or testing.
You can't fix a pipe with a piece of paper. You fix with a degree. You fix a pipe with knowledge and skills.
Yes. So that's what that's sort of what we're working on. We're in a lot of beginning stages, but we actually have, I hate to say it, almost too big of a group. Like our next meeting is on Monday night, and there's 20 people already registered for this meeting of committed people, because already we've gone through the process of, okay, who's committed to taking on a role and actually breaking down actionable steps and moving toward those goals. So we have a committed group of 6 educators and the rest parents that actually want to work toward this end. Our hope is to be up and running by next school term, which is September 2019. But we already have a really successful model, and I think that's what attracted people, is that there's the latecomers to an idea, and they are seeing that it's working. There's quite a buzz in this community for this school and for what the teacher has accomplished. We also have we also need, what we're thinking too is that we're building an umbrella, and under that will be different things. So there would be the contributionism model. There would be this already established, what's called Heartwood model. There would be partnering with other local programs. So all under one umbrella. And we're hoping, obviously, that the contributionism portion takes off, and that we can prove that this is a viable, sustainable model that we can show. And we've worked through the kinks, and we can say, okay, now we can take this and take it into our farming and agriculture or some other system in this town. So broke it down further than one small town.
Wow. I'm so excited. I tell you, I'm just bursting with excitement here to hear this, because I just hope that we can take your experience and share it with people. Now, at the same time, I get frustrated because the Ubuntu Planet website should be a platform for you to be able to go on, share this, write the information, and invite other people to join you. But at the moment, we don't have an IT person that can help us with fixing the website, and it's just been an ongoing problem. And I don't know how to fix it at this stage, but I will rack my brain around it. what I've discovered is that volunteerism doesn't work on this front. You can't get volunteers to work on your website and IT because volunteers sooner or later have to leave, and then suddenly you're stuck. And this has been now, I think it's the 8th year cycle of this volunteers, people helping with the Ubuntu website and IT. So sooner or later, when we have funding, we can then appoint a full-time IT person, because until we have a functioning website that we can have you participate and share information and have other people join you to participate in whatever way to help you, to support you participate, it is the most frustrating thing for me. I'll tell you, it drives me nuts. I don't know what to do about that at this stage. So anybody's got bright ideas on that, please, get in touch with me.
One thing I did want to say is I will try as well recording everything, every step we've taken, and as things come up, because my hope is that, yes, we would be able to just hand this to another community. And I realize laws and regulations are different everywhere, like even province to province here in Canada. So we're working with what we can do within a structure that we have. But it may not be as easy to just implement it elsewhere.
Yeah, look, for example, Germany, you can't homeschool your kids in Germany at all. So that's a huge problem. Austria, you can still homeschool your children in Austria. So I've been suggesting to people when I was in Vienna now, a lovely group of people there, saying, look, if you can set up a homeschool system here, and maybe, you can guide them and give them some inspiration, or whatever, and people from Germany will send their children. I really believe that once we create a real bricks and mortar physical school, not an online virtual school, a physical school where kids can actually go and attend an alternative school that's based on a homeschooling system with real brilliant teachers, some of the best teachers, and like you said, teaching real skills for life, real activities and skills, not just the theoretical nonsense that gives us a piece of paper and send our kids out looking for a job. Actually create individuals with pride and joy and pride in their own skills that they've learned. The best teachers in the world will show up and materialize, that will want to share those skill sets with the children. And I believe that if we create this bricks and mortar school, and if we can have one of those in every country, that's going to be a huge draw card. Imagine if you can create that in Canada, what will happen to a small town like Smithers, where all people from all over Canada will send their kids to Smithers because they want their children to go to that school, a real school, not a theoretical school, an online school. And if we can have one well, we can't have one in Germany, but in Austria, in Canada, the USA, South Africa, Australia, all the countries that can still homeschool their kids. So it's like an interesting race here. The first country that can set that up, you seem to be leading that group of people now. The sooner we can do this is the most exciting thing in the Ubuntu, one of the most exciting things in the Ubuntu movement, the education, the alternative education. I
have one more thing to say too. We, another way that and it seemed quite obvious really, as to keeping costs down, is that taking ideas like, for instance, in Japan, the students are all in charge of the janitorial work. There's no janitors in their schools. So the children, the last 20 minutes a day, they're cleaning. So that is part of their education, is real world practical experiences. And then the meals, like cooking together and eating together, having a garden, a local school garden, and being able to feed themselves. So they're learning, those that want to learn to cook can cook and cook for the group. The model that we already have, the Heartwood one, every day it's outdoors, so it's in the forest, and every day she has a pot, and they all contribute like one vegetable to it, and they eat a soup or a bean soup, or they forage for something, and they've made crepes with wild berries as their syrup, and they've made wild teas that they've foraged. So they're learning a lot of incredible skills already, and they're even eating things they normally wouldn't have. So these are other things to keep these costs. Other things to keep the costs down are where can the children contribute as well to the success of the school.
Alethea, you're bringing tears to my eyes. I mean, like real tears. I tell you, this is fantastic. Okay, so listen, we've come to the top of the hour, and we said that the second hour would be Q&A. So is there anything else you want to add before we part ways with you?
I think I've said my piece. I think everyone understands what we're working toward here.
That's beautiful. And you look beautiful. Thank you so much. You're shining with energy. It's great. Send everybody our love. Emma and I miss you and your family, your beautiful family that we met. And I hope your caravan is ready for us to come back. Okay. So stay with us if you want to. And I'll bring Rebecca on now to share with us what's happening in Ubuntu USA.
Hey there, everybody. So we actually are, I'm going to try and make this short so we can get straight to the Q&A session. I did connect, well, the first thing that I'm most excited about is I've been working with a group down in Walsenburg, Colorado, which is about 50 miles north of the New Mexico border. And the group that I'm working with, we have finally managed to purchase a school building that was built in the late 1800s, and needs a lot of work, but yeah, it's very, very exciting. And our focus, interestingly, is on food. We're working with District 1, which is, 1 stands for Organizing New Economy, and our focus is to start with food, because everybody needs food. And what's really exciting is the people who are showing up to help. Right now, what we need are construction people, and a guy that's been in touch with me since I came into the Ubuntu movement a couple of years ago, reached out to me and said, you know, I have these kinds of skills. I really want to participate, and I introduced him to Brian Racino down in Walsenburg, and he's down there right now, living in the schoolhouse, working to clean it up. And it's got some serious roof stuff, but they're working on that. There's another guy that the people who are showing up are people from the Ubuntu movement, and there are some local people also that are showing up. But it's the concept of I think it was Tim who was saying in the chat here that, and Mark and Tim, that you know, we have to start funding Michael, but it doesn't have to be funding. It can be showing up and actually doing the work, whether it's sharing the information or coming and to a place where we are doing Ubuntu style or concepts, one small projects, and helping with those, and being a contributor is really what's needed, whether it's financial or physical. The physical is always a challenge because people want to show up, but if we're not ready for that, for their abilities or their skills, then it's not very helpful. So we've been very specific, saying what we need is people with construction skills, and those are the people who are showing up. So very, very exciting. I did speak with the Lotus Mountain Retreat people. I don't know if anybody who's been in the movement long enough to remember Bolton Valley. That is still being sort of nurtured. David Montanet is sort of heading that up, and they are still looking for about 2 more people. They have 4 steady people who are working it as a contributionism model. They are using sociocracy as the governing process. Very high transparency and equality processes, which of course, if it's Ubuntu, it has to be, right? So they are specifically, if anybody is in that area or wants to move to the Vermont area, the Bolton Valley area, they're looking specifically for a vegan chef. They really want to focus their attention on veganism because of their belief in that if it's not good for one, it's not good for anyone, and they're including the animals in that process. So if you're interested in that, you can, or if you're interested in supporting them in other ways, lotusmountainretreat.com is where you can look up for that. I know there are fantastic things. I haven't had a chance to connect with David Reed and Katie Banks in Kansas City, although I know they're doing fantastic. They're busy all the time. They're doing training sessions, Ubuntu contributionism types of training sessions, as well as meditation and things like that in their space. They're really, things are moving. I continue to connect with the regional coordinators, which we sort of still have. And so there are things happening in Washington State. There are things happening in Alaska. There are these little pockets of people who get it, like Alethea was saying. You get it, and then you're like, okay, who can I get this with? Who can I share this with? And that's still happening. And if you are listening and you're in the United States and you want to have some support in starting up a meetup like Michael talked about, please reach out to me, whatever. We are trying to work it. We're making our efforts. And I don't want to take up too much time, but Travis did a fantastic job. He really
wasn't he incredible? That last video that he did was unbelievable. He literally, I was thinking when I watched that video, I said, if I was living in Austin, Texas, and I saw that video, I mean, that's it. There's like, that's my guy.
Yeah. And he did so well for a complete unknown new runner, and he really challenged the system. There were several videos where he's pointing out how the system really keeps the powers that be being the powers that be, and so he did a fantastic job, and he was willing to be the bad guy. That's actually, you touched on this just a little bit, Michael, that when we stand up saying that the current system is not okay, there's a lot of people who are vested in the current system, and so there's a lot of pushback. In fact, we experienced a little bit of that. I had posted my excitement, the picture of the school, and we actually are calling it the bus standing for Building United Society. We wanted it to be Ubuntu Society, but that in Walsenburg created this whole flashback of we were cult members and we were Antichrist, and this whole thing. And it was just like, okay, well, you know, something's going on, and it's not going to stop us from doing what we know we want to do. And what we want to do is be united in our process. So it just is, my point being that the challenges will come, and the naysayers will show up, and we just have to sort of lovingly work forward anyway. Just keep pushing forward and let our works and our intentions show that that our focus is on the people and the benefit of the people. So
well, Rebecca, thank you. Thank you for all your commitment and your time and contribution and your passion. I cannot tell you how much I truly appreciate it. And you're a beautiful soul. And without you, Ubuntu USA would be so much weaker. And I'm not sure what we would do in the USA. So for everything you've done.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, I want to say, while I have the mic, that it actually takes every single one of us. And that's the piece that really has to be known, that Michael cannot do this himself. I cannot do this. None of us can do this ourselves. It is the collaboration. It is the coming together and saying, okay, we want a different world, and start doing a different world. That's what we have to do, it together. So no matter what your skills are, no matter what your financial ability is, figure out some way to contribute to change this world so that we all are living in a better space.
Yeah. And again, for people that are in a situation where they don't have the time, they're either too busy or too caught up in their lives, but they want to do something, well, make a financial contribution. That's it. Because ultimately, the funding is the thing that constantly trips us up. And I need to bring it up again. If we had $1 million right now to fund us for the next year or 2 years, we would have Ubuntu offices in every bloody county and every state, and funded with material and books and people answering phones. We can't do that. We don't even have an IT person to sort out our website, you know. So that's how bad things are. But we keep going, and somehow we keep having great successes all over the place. And it's going to be that little tipping point. I do believe, I'm very confident that funding is already here. It's coming, and substantial funding, which will change everything and will make us very successful and very visible and allow us to achieve the goals that we want to achieve. So to to help fund the school that you want to set up. Once it's funded and done, it'll fund and run itself. And Alethea School in Smithers could become the shining light for all schools in Canada, or the #1 school. And we can go from country to country and set up that one Ubuntu school, or whatever it's called. It doesn't have to be called an Ubuntu school. It's not about the name. It's about what the results are that it's going to achieve. But ultimately, people do want to feel that they belong to something that has meaning. So we'll see how the naming of things evolves. The same, Ron Higgins had a similar experience in North Frontenac, I believe. The moment that he was seen to be involved with Ubuntu, he was, suddenly he was involved with some cult movement again, and some crazy guy who believes aliens have come to Earth from, and so forth. And that's what they do. They always try and, they can't shoot the message. So they always try and shoot the messenger. And I'm so used to it by now that, you know how many attacks I've come under. It's been an ongoing thing. And every now and then, Michael Tellinger has done this, and he's done that, and he's stolen this. And it's like, oh, God, okay. They can't shoot the message, so they have to shoot the messenger. So I've been the target, and now you're going to become the target. Ron Higgins became the target. The moment people stand up and start to implement this, they become the target, because the message cannot be shot down. It's always the messenger that comes under attack. So we're aware of it now, and anyone who joins the Ubuntu movement, please be aware of this. So if you have deep pockets, fund the movement so we can actually implement a few basic things that strengthens the foundation around the world, right? So that's it. I think unless there's anything else, Rebecca, I love you, sister. You're beautiful. I will see you next year in Boulder again, and look forward to seeing you face to face.
Great. Thank you, Michael, very much.
All right, Neil, are we going to move on to Q&A?
Yeah, let's open it up for Q&A. You can actually read the questions yourself if you want, or I could read them to you. It's up to you. We have a box here that says Q&A. If you click on that, all of them are listed.
Oh, there it is. Let me click on that and see what happens.
And I'm going to need really quick, everyone. If you have been asking questions in the chat box, please move it over to the Q&A. Please try to keep it to one question only, and then we'll let you know when we can have more questions.
Okay. The first question, maybe Michael can tell us if and what restrictions we have, if any, to raise funds. Yes, there are restrictions to raise funds because we need to be very sensitive about this. If people start raising funds on behalf of the Ubuntu movement, and those funds are used for weird activities that have maybe nothing to do with what we're doing and what our global or international strategy is, ultimately it comes back to me. And this has happened before. People have launched websites under the Ubuntu banner and started raising funds and selling their own stuff under the Ubuntu banner, and people think it's me, that I'm doing this, and I have nothing to do with it. I don't even know that that website exists, and those people are raising funds on behalf of Ubuntu. So please don't do that. If you want to raise funds, we need to do it through the Ubuntu Planet website, and those funds need to be linked to a specific activity that you're trying to raise money for. So if you're trying to raise money for growing food in a garden, that's something else. You know, you can go out to the community and you're raising a few $100 or a few $1,000 so you can buy some seeds or whatever it is. That's something else. But if you're going to start raising funds using the Ubuntu logo and the Ubuntu platform around the world, then that changes things. So we need money at the Ubuntu office like we need blood and oxygen right now. Otherwise, the office cannot function. I cannot continue funding the Ubuntu movement like I have for the last 12 years with the very, very generous funding from many people over the years that have helped it going. But unfortunately, I have remained the main funder and the main source of funds for the Ubuntu movement. I can no longer do that. So this is why the activity of the movement has really slowed down quite a lot, because I've had to sort of take a back seat and start looking after myself and finding an income for myself, because I have personally stopped focusing on that with putting all the income from our books and everything into the Ubuntu movement, and that sort of dries up at one stage. So I've got to reinvent myself now and bring in a source of income so I can keep living and keep the Ubuntu movement alive. So two levels of funding. If you want to fund your local activity, your local, like Alethea is doing with the school and that, of course, you must do that. But if you want to start going online and asking people from around the world to fund your activities, it should be done through the Ubuntu Planet website, so it could be channeled and come through the official channel and people know. And whatever funds are raised, a portion of that should always come to the Ubuntu office, like any international organization works. And this is where we use the tools of enslavement as tools of liberation. Because if the head and the head office is starved of funds, then it can no longer operate, and we will close down, and the website will close down, and everything will shut down. So if we don't have funds at the head office, then it's going to be very difficult to manage and help integrate all the activities around the world. I hope that answers your question. Next question. Given the incoming Planet X is Planet Nibiru, don't you think Ubuntu would one way not be under the Anunnaki control? I'm not sure if this is the platform to discuss Anunnaki activity, because some people that join the Ubuntu movement don't even know what an Anunnaki is. And this is a challenge that I face all the time, because many people that have followed my work and research have really seen the evolution of the Ubuntu movement, the philosophy, how it came out of really studying the deep historic origins of humankind, and the Ubuntu movement is a consequence of that. So I personally cannot ever separate Ubuntu contributionism from my own work and research. But many people that join the Ubuntu movement by finding the Ubuntu website and the workshops, and then suddenly seeing Michael Tellinger talks about this weird ancient stuff, and he talks about aliens and blah, 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 and Anunnaki. Some people are shocked and stunned by that, and it puts some people off because they don't know enough. They don't have enough information. So to those people that are new to this, please open your mind, open your eyes, and go back and do a bit of research about ancient human history. If need be, read one of my books, read the Ubuntu book. That's the first thing to do. Please read the Ubuntu book, because in there I go into some deep, very simple philosophies and scientific evidence about human origins, and also consciousness and sacred geometry and the origins of money. And that builds a solid foundation for why the Ubuntu movement is doing what we're doing, and the philosophy of contributionism, which is really the principle that is built on the platform of Ubuntu. Ubuntu is just an African word that means working together, people supporting each other in a community, looking after each other, supporting each other. Contributionism is really the social structural model that we are implementing, as opposed to capitalism or fascism or socialism or communism or anything, or the other isms that have come and gone that have destroyed humanity. Contributionism is an ism like no other ism, because it creates a platform in which money will no longer be needed and money will have no value. But it can only happen over a period of time where we set up the foundation, and to set up that foundation we need money, we need the current structure, need the current system, so that it can create a new system in which money is no longer needed. So I don't want to discuss Anunnaki on this platform because it's not the right platform. Okay. Cassia asked, hi Michael, I'm very experienced programmer and you would volunteer, but I'm in Minneapolis area and do have to work full-time somewhere. Maybe someone can send me screenshots, problem descriptions, if not code. I will see what can be done first thing, what languages or use. Okay, Cassia, thank you very much for this offer. Let me tell you what the problem with freelance and volunteer IT work is. And this has been the problem. But maybe we can use the current system, the current website that we have, and keep upgrading it so that we don't have to create a new website. Over the last 8 years, we have had 6 different Ubuntu websites, because volunteers come and go. And every volunteer that comes and offers their work comes with a little bit of ego, and rightfully so, because people, have their own belief and what they do and their own strengths and abilities, and they want to do something that they believe is better. So generally what happens is we scrap what we have and we start from scratch to build a new Ubuntu Planet website or a new Ubuntu website, and this has been an ongoing process. So, And then after a few months, the person that created that website suddenly gets too busy, or they move or whatever, and they can no longer help and support me with the management of that website. And if I don't know how to work that website, if I can't access the website with ease, I'm not an IT person. So if I can't do it, if it's not easy for me, then I'm not going to be able to do it. And it's going to be a big problem, right? So if I can't access the website, if I can't upload news items daily or connect Facebook pages to it, or so that it's a working tool for me as the Ubuntu main website, and then the different countries. So the national coordinators for the different countries who have access, who are grant access to the website, who then can load their own news and activities from the different countries. Like Alethea should be loading what she's doing in Smithers with the education. And the people in Germany should be loading what they're doing, and the people in Sweden should be loading what they're doing, and the people all over the world should be accessing their Ubuntu Planet website in their language and uploading what they're doing. At this stage, we don't have the person that can help me manage that, and people need to be paid ultimately. So the only solution for this is for me to appoint a full-time IT person that's only going to focus on this management of the Ubuntu website. It's a huge job. It's managing a website that is potentially working with 60 different countries and 60 different people every day, uploading and managing the content and what's happening in the different countries. And it's a huge job. So that person needs to be paid, and paid a fair amount of money. Otherwise, they're not going to do it. They're going to go and get a job somewhere else. So understand what some of the funding is needed. The additional funding, while we're on the IT and funding, we need a full-time administrator and a PA that answers the emails and gets back to people so they don't think that I'm ignoring them. And that's not possible right now. So between the IT person paying rent, electricity, and travel costs, and the admin person and an office manager, we're looking at $10,000 a month to run and manage that. So until we have $10,000 a month that we can count on, not hope it's going to come in, that we know is coming in, it's very difficult to run the Ubuntu office. And I welcome and really appreciate the help from IT people, but please understand that when you come and offer IT help, it needs to be done in a way that isn't going to put me under pressure 3 months or 6 months from now. So it needs to build and add to what we already have and improve what we have, not recreate and start from scratch, because I can't go down that route again. And I've just spent the last 6 months redoing that, and yeah, it needs to improve. Right, next, I hope that answers your question. So that's Kasia about the email. Okay, Kasia, if you want to email me, just email me at michaeljtellinger@gmail.com or contact@ubuntuplanet.org. Contact@ubuntuplanet.org. It comes to my email. I have to ignore most emails. Please understand right now, we get 500 emails a day. Unfortunately, just think about the logistics. Just answering 50 emails a day. If I spend 3 minutes on each email, reading and answering that email, that's 50 times, it's 150 minutes a day that I have to spend just on answering emails. That's my whole day gone. I can't earn a living, I can't do anything. So understand why the funding is so critical. So Kasia, please get hold of me, all right? And we can discuss it on Skype maybe, and it'll be great. Any help on IT is deeply, deeply appreciated. Funding, Ali is asking about funding. Are you aware of Speak project? They will have massive money available soon to distribute for projects which are creating new worlds. If you are interested in joining the network, no fees involved, please just email them and describe very briefly your dream of changing the world. They'll put you in WhatsApp group, keeping us updated on the development, and you can also contribute to the discussion. Okay, great idea. I will look at it and see if this is a real thing. Keep in mind, I've joined many of these kind of initiatives over the last 12 years. Not one has ever come through. I've had dozens and dozens of promises of funding of millions of dollars and funding from here and funding from there. People email me and they get my attention by promising me funding, and then they keep me tied up for hours and weeks talking about funding and this. and in the end, nothing materializes. So when I hear the word funding, I get incredibly skeptical. So I've got to a point now when somebody approaches me about funding, my first response, knee-jerk reaction is, okay, if you want to fund us, show to me that you really want to fund us. Put $100,000 into the Ubuntu Planet nonprofit company account. And once I know that you mean business, I will engage and speak to you. Because until now, I've wasted time, wasted months and months of time and energy on talking to people who just want to take your time up. It's almost as if many of these people are infiltrated to try and steal your energy and take you away from what you should be doing by talking about potential and possible funding. And it's a big ongoing problem. So understand this. I'll check out this Project Speak and see if it's something that looks real, and I'll engage them if I feel in my heart that it's a real thing and that it can possibly help us. Okay, Bob McCullum, Michael, I attended a local senior education group called RISE. I would like to present a class on Ubuntu and you. Is there any copyright problem with doing that? Absolutely not. Bob, thank you very much for this, and I urge everyone who is listening or watching this now or in the future. The Ubuntu movement is for the world. It belongs to the people. You need to embrace this. Watch the promotional videos. Watch the One Small Town video. Internalize it. Read the documents. Learn as much as you can. Be able to recite it, not from your brain, but from your heart, because you know how it works. You know the chain reaction of what happens when you introduce this philosophy. I will make available, I've been meaning to make available, an online presentation of the Ubuntu, an Ubuntu workshop. I will do my best to do it in the next 48 hours because it's pretty much done. I will load the PowerPoint presentation so anyone can download it. I can load it with a voiceover, so you can either use it with a voiceover or you can use my voiceover to learn it and present it yourself. So I would like people, please do this wherever you can, so you can present the Ubuntu Contributionism workshop to anyone, everywhere. The more people do it, the better. I can't do this anymore. It's too costly to travel around the world. And, you know, like right now in Europe, Europe is so expensive to travel in and to stay in. It's very different from, even the UK was profitable. I brought some money back to keep the office going and keep the home fires burning and keep the Ubuntu movement going. And the USA has really been the cash cow for the last decade. If it wasn't for the USA, we wouldn't be here. So thanks to the people of the USA and the UK for helping this going. Europe is a whole nother kettle of fish. I need to figure out how to go to Europe and reduce the costs so that I can actually bring some money back from there to keep the things going. So the more people can do the Ubuntu presentations and contributionism workshops, the better, and in different languages as well. I know that Dirk Bruckner, that I nearly said Bruckheimer, sorry, Dirk Bruckner, that traveled with us and did the German translations for us in Europe, in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. Dirk is going to be doing the Ubuntu presentations in the German-speaking countries now, and he's just amazing. He's just a go-getter. He heads up the German Leipzig what's that speaker group, people that get together that do speeches and public presentations. So really awesome guy, totally switched on. He gets the Ubuntu thing, and he's traveled with me now. So, and he's had to translate this for me. So he's really got it. And he's a great representative for the Ubuntu movement in Germany and in the German-speaking countries now. And so that's going to be a great step forward. So yes, watch this space on the Ubuntu Planet website. I'll make the PowerPoint presentation available as soon as I can. Otherwise, just use one of the other PowerPoint presentations that you find online, download it, copy it, and use it as is. Thanks, Bob. That's awesome. Next, Gustavo, what is the best way to get involved? Not only funding. Okay, Gustavo, thank you. And that's a most frequently asked question. Best way to get involved. First of all, sign up online. Make sure you're on the database. Whether you're on the database, as long as you're on the database, it means you receive the emails and the updates when I send the bulk emails out. If you can make a contribution, small monthly contribution, even better. But the most important thing is start a local meetup group. Okay. Get the Ubuntu book, read it, read the One Small Town manifesto, read the proposal to the mayor, because between the manifesto and the proposal to the mayor and learn and watching the One Small Town video over and over again to get it, you will get a deeper comprehension of what the One Small Town strategy is. I'll do the best I can in the time that I have in between surviving right now, because that's what it's come down to make more videos and load them and post them. The most important thing is to start a meetup group in your area. So one small gathering. Remember, our strategy is one small town, one small gathering. And from the one small gathering comes the one small project or one small farm. But also, most importantly, possibly identifying or approaching, getting a group that then approaches the mayor to say, here's a proposal, Mr. Mayor or Mrs. Mayor. This is what we'd like to do. You can do this for our community. And you can be a hero of the community. You don't need any money to do this. You don't need any special skill to do this. All you need to do is to say, yes, I want to implement this amazing One Small Town strategy. Because the moment you do it, ask Ron Higgins in North Frontenac, the funding and the money comes flooding in. The moment you do this, the money comes. Okay, the technology comes, the people come, the experts in all fields come. The scientists, the inventors, the healers, they all come to you once the mayor starts the One Small Town strategy implementation. But if the mayor then does this, then home run. If the mayor doesn't do it, then the One Small Town gathering becomes a hunting ground to find the most suitable candidate among your community, the Ubuntu membership or the Ubuntu like-minded people, the Contributionism like-minded people, to find the best person who can then run for mayor in your town. So that's what I'd suggest, okay? Join Ubuntu Online, make sure you're on the database and member, and then start a meetup group, one small gathering, start a Facebook page for that, a Facebook group. Make sure that you make me an administrator so I can post things to that as well and share information with you. And anyone else that's watching who's got an Ubuntu Facebook page or any sort, make sure that you make me an administrator so I can load things onto your group of what is going on and other activities going on, okay? And that's it. Gustavo, I hope that answers your question. Next, Michael Schuyer. Wow, that's a tough surname, Michael Schuyer. Wow, can't pronounce that. sorry, my friend. Tough one. Shouldn't it be much more easy to find a mayor town in a country like Greece that was already ruined by the global finance systems? Absolutely. So that was the first thought. I immediately thought that it would be easy to find mayors in the towns that have been destroyed. But to find the mayor, first you need to find the person that has got a deeper understanding and a full comprehension of the Ubuntu and Contributionism philosophy, and especially the One Small Town philosophy. That will be the messenger that will take the document to the mayor. So yes, if you live in Greece, Michael, and that I know that we have a number of members in Greece, because Greece obviously have been very active in the Ubuntu movement. So if the people in Greece start a meetup group, do what I've said, read the book, share the philosophy, read the One Small Town manifesto, read the proposal to the mayor, watch the One Small Town video, share it, translate it into Greek, translate it into whatever language you work with, and then share it in your one small gathering, and then find the mayor, then plan the approach to the mayor, find the right town, okay? Remember that the size of the town is critical. Anything between 5,000 and 10,000 people is probably the best sized town. So if that's the town you have, that's fantastic. If the town is larger, that's okay. But anything smaller than 5,000 people becomes a problem because the numbers start to get too small. When you launch the strategy, you need enough people to participate. So in a town of 5,000 people, even if you just have 10% of the people participating, you already have 500 people participating in whatever activities you're going to be initiating. So that's a huge success already. So that's absolutely, Michael, if you live in Greece, and start the One Small Town gathering, and please start the meetup group, create the Facebook page for that, make me an administrator so we can share information with you and others can join and get going. Don't let me hold you back, buddy. This belongs to the people. This is not my philosophy. I'm not going to do it. I can only succeed if the people start to do things. like Alethea started now with that incredible school initiative, the way that Rebecca has been helping and holding the USA teams together, all the people in the USA that are doing things, and so many people around the world that have started these meetup groups that I don't even know about, and then just come out of the woodwork. I know that in Germany there's a meetup group that I only discovered now when I got to Germany. So this is exciting stuff, but this is where the Ubuntu website and the Ubuntu members worldwide Facebook page should be the meeting place. So Ubuntu members worldwide is the official Facebook page for Ubuntu members worldwide. And then the ubuntuplanet.org is the official website for Ubuntu worldwide, under which every country should have their own page of activities, of projects, and so forth. And that is the challenge that I face with the IT. So Michael, I hope I answered that question. For Greece, I'm looking forward to see what comes out of Greece. Ekna here, are the energy partners helping other Ubuntu towns? The energy partners are very, very protective about their knowledge, their information. You can imagine every Tom, Dick, and Harry would like to go and look at this energy device. So we and I am also very protective about our energy partners. Otherwise, they will sever their relationship with me and with us and with the Ubuntu movement. They have signed, I have signed a non-disclosure agreement with them. So when the mayor, the way it works is like this. We approach a mayor, give them the document and say, this is what we'd like to do for our town. Come read this document. It's a 10-page document. It reads beautifully. It's simple. It outlines it very simply. The mayor can see that the mayor doesn't need any money, doesn't need any special skills or technology, nothing. All the mayor needs to do is say, I love this plan of action. I want to implement this. And that's it. And then the moment the town council sees the value in this, sees the wisdom in this, and the mayor then shares this with the people of the community, the money and the funding comes flooding in from conscious investors who realize this is a very powerful investment opportunity for them. So, sorry, I got a little bit off the track. The energy partners. And then the moment the mayor agrees to do this, and we have an agreement with the mayor, I then introduce the mayor to our energy partners, and they start to communicate and start the process of what needs to happen for our energy partners to come and implement and install the energy device. They'll decide the size of the device. Is it 1 megawatt, 2 megawatts, 50 megawatts, 100 megawatts? Whatever it's needed will be decided, and that can be delivered. The delivery of that can be as short as 6 months once the agreement has been signed with the mayor and our energy partners. And that's when I believe the first town that actually achieves that point, when we get to that point with our first town, that's when the real tipping point will come, because it'll become real and visible and tangible, because everyone in the world will then be able to see this new energy and this technology and the town that has implemented it. We are very close. We are not there yet. And North Frontenac did not go that route. I'm not sure what the problems were. I need to find out from Ron Higgins why they didn't go that route. But the first town that goes with this energy technology will become the catalyst that creates a domino effect around the world. I believe that completely and wholeheartedly. So I hope I answered that, Ekna. How can we do a double translation of the One Small Town or any Ubuntu presentations for you to keep? A dubbed translation. Okay, so what you can do is you can download the One Small Town video from YouTube and just dub it, or or add subtitles at the bottom, or do a voiceover yourself, or someone who's got a good voice, and then upload it onto YouTube again, or email me a link. I'll download it and I'll put it onto the Ubuntu YouTube channel so that we have control of it into the future. So please feel free to do that and send me the link so I can then download it and we distribute that as widely as we can. I will do a new video for that, which will include the energy, because you'll notice in the current One Small Town video, I do not talk about the energy and the electricity, because when I was doing that, I felt that the energy and the electricity component was a little bit risky and a little bit of a hot topic, and some people still don't believe it, and some people think it's a pie in the sky because just they don't have enough information. They don't really understand that technology. This is not something that was done in a garage. This is really mainstream stuff with big international engineering companies and scientists involved. And once you've seen it, you'll know what I mean. Please also understand that the technology we're talking about, the side effects or the byproducts is all the sewage in the town gets treated. No sewage actually leaves the town. So it's a very clean town. All the hospital waste gets processed and treated and destroyed. So no toxic or hospital waste ever leaves the hospitals. So all the syringes, all that stuff gets treated and actually basically zapped with some sort of laser beams, if you want to call them that. It's like plasma laser technology that just destroys all that stuff. Very advanced technology. And the highlight for me is that all the water that gets extracted from the sewage and anything else gets absolutely purified and energized and oxygenated, very important, oxygenated water that then gets reused in the hospitals to treat cancer, treat burn victims, to treat gangrene, to treat brain tumors and many other ailments and disease that oxygenated water has been shown to be a cure for, highly oxygenated water. This is one of the very important side effects of our energy implementation. So next question. Inflated ego is a hallmark problem of commercial IT. Okay, that's a statement. There are some, yes, unfortunately, I've had some real egotists on the IT side, but at the same time, I've had some really incredible people that have helped us amazingly and helped us build new websites that were phenomenal. So, you know, my gratitude to the people that have helped me over the years. But we now need to stabilize the current website we have. So whatever IT help and support I get now is going to have to be to help us build the existing website, improve on it, and make it better and stronger, and create websites and platforms for different countries with easy access, easy uploading, easy sharing of information and projects and activities, and creating that database that allows us, me and the national coordinators, to communicate with all the members and the people in their community, and me to communicate with everybody around the world with ease. And that's a continuous problem. And if it wasn't for the Majestic system that was very graciously given to me by my friend Scott Kundal in South Africa some 12 or 13 years ago already, I'm still using the same bulk emailing system that he created, Majestic, in about 13 years ago already. I'm still using that same old system because nothing better has been offered to me on the IT or bulk email management system side. So just understand that I'm working with what is now old technology, but that still remains the best I have. And that is still the current system for the people that sign up for the Ubuntu movement and go onto that system. So until we find a better solution for it, I'm going to have to stick with it. I'm not going to break down what we have now to start again, because that's now going to, I've done this 8 times in the last 8 years, or 6 times in the last 8 years. And it's heartbreaking and extremely debilitating. So next, can you use internet technology like Zoom meetings to do face-to-face meetings and save on travel? Yes, absolutely. But there's nothing like face-to-face. So I do intend to do these Zoom meetings. You know, maybe we just need to commit to do this once a month. And we do this once a month. I know that more and more people join us. And hopefully if this event here is successful now, then more and more people join us every month. And we can share the success regularly. If the website is not slick enough for me to do that, hopefully we'll find some IT guru somewhere to help us with that in the next month or next few weeks. But maybe this is what we need to do, is do this on a monthly basis and just bring people in and share from different countries what they're doing, and so everybody gets more excited, and possibly that's a platform. Yes, thanks for bringing that up. But I will continue traveling where I can, especially to the USA, to the UK, to Scandinavia, which is fantastic, and to Europe once we find a cost-effective way to travel, stay, and find venues to do presentations. Because when you pay 300 euros a night for a hotel room, you can imagine how prohibitive that becomes. So all the money we made in the workshops, and we did some very successful workshops that made thousands of euros. Unfortunately, all that money went to pay hotels and venues. So I came back with very little profit from the European trip, and that's a problem. So we need to figure out a cheaper way to do that. And maybe Ubuntu BNB, which has been promised over and over again, maybe when we have time to actually launch Ubuntu BNB as a fundraising tool for Ubuntu members around the world and fundraising platform for the Ubuntu office. Maybe that will become a solution in the near future. Let's see. If we can get an IT person to help us with Ubuntu BNB, that'll be awesome. Right. What's next? How many active members are there in the movement? We have about 35,000 members that are officially signed up. We have another 40,000 or more, 50,000 members online that are members of the different Facebook pages. And then obviously I have the membership on the michaeltellinger.com. Many of those people are also supporters of Ubuntu. So collectively, active members are 35,000 as we speak, officially, but probably about 100,000 or more people that get information via the various media channels and also the Facebook. I mean, the YouTube channel has about 60,000 members on it right now itself. So who knows how many people get the messages and the letters. I've been promoting the fact that if our active members, the members on the database, if each one of us brings in one new member a month, that's all I'm asking people. I've been on this for the last 2 years, but not too many people have responded. If everybody that becomes an Ubuntu member and signs up on the database because they believe they're signing up to something for a real benefit for their future, for themselves and their children, and expose the Ubuntu movement and our philosophy to one person a month. That's not a big ask. It's one person a month, one of your friends a month, or a stranger, or a Facebook friend, or someone. Bring one person a month to sign up to the Ubuntu movement. We create a doubling effect. So you can imagine, if 35,000 people this month just bring one person on, we can double. We'll have 70,000 members next month. And then you can imagine when 70,000 members bring one person a month, suddenly we have 140,000 members. So all I'm asking people to do, and I've been on this as I mentioned, please try and do this. Make this make this one of your little missions. Just bring one person in every month. We can grow this movement to millions and millions of people, but that will require real active participation from every one of our members, and not just me constantly trying to travel around and spread the message and do webinars like this. So it's up to our members to spread the message and grow the movement. I can't do this alone. Next question. If we were to translate into French, what would I begin with? I speak about Ubuntu at least one Francophone person every single day. Love, Louise. Thank you, Louise. So I know that the Ubuntu book was being translated into French. As always, it was a volunteer attempt. I'm not sure how far it got. I will have to follow up. I'm going to make a note right now, actually, to talk to my friend. French translation. French translation update. Find out where the French translation is. And we had the same problem with Spanish. The whole Ubuntu book was translated into Spanish. Unfortunately, the woman that translated it got upset with me because I didn't get back to her quickly enough on an email on a few questions. And then she basically snubbed me and said, sorry, I'm not going to give you the Spanish translation. And this is unfortunately what we deal with, egos, and people get the egos hurt because I don't respond to them quickly enough, or they feel that I have a big head or an ego, and that's not the case. I've been drowning in trying to manage this movement and almost crippled myself financially on every possible level. And please be aware of this. This has not been an easy journey on any in any way whatsoever, and it continues to be tough on a daily basis on me right now. So I'll find out where the French translation is, and I'll put it up on Facebook, and I'll send out an email and let everybody know. So please post the link to the 10-page letter to the mayors. Yes, absolutely. That's on my list to do. I will get onto it tomorrow, and I hope in the next 48 hours it'll be on the website. It should have been on the website already. I don't know why it's not there. It might be there under... If you go to Ubuntu Planet and look under resources, it might be there already. Check it out. But I'll speak to Uroš, who's helped me very graciously with the Ubuntu Planet website. And Uroš is in Slovenia, and he's been a great help and support. So thanks to Uroš for this amazing support that he's given me over the years. And he's come back over and over again to bail me out when I needed help on the IT. Ekna, love and light to you. Thank you, Ekna. Very much appreciated. Gustavo, maybe off topic, what are your thoughts on distilled water? Easy to do with any water quality and sun power. My thoughts on distilled water is based on the information I have right now, is that it seems, from the knowledge that I have right now, distilled water seems to be really good for you because it helps to flush out all the toxins. And so forth. But again, I think this is a discussion for a different platform. This goes into the research and ancient civilizations and so forth, and how we're manipulated and controlled, and how our governments are basically not our friends, and how they do everything to poison our environment and make our lives miserable. And it's up to us, people like us, to change it. And we're not going to change it by opposing them. We're going to change it by using tools of enslavement as tools of liberation. It is, for me, one of the most liberating, poetic justice statements of our time, is using tools of enslavement as tools of liberation. Okay, Gustavo's found it. Can we? How do I scroll down? Oh yes, sorry, I could scroll down here. Gustavo found the letter to the mayors. Okay, so it is there. Good. I will check the website and make sure that it's on the website with a simple link for download. I will also make sure that the latest manifesto is there in a PDF format. And if there are any spelling mistakes, please change them. And you don't need to ask my permission to do that. Just use your discretion. Don't change anything in the proposal to the mayor, because I worked long and hard on that. You know, just give it to the mayor from the Ubuntu movement, and you're the representative, you're the carrier of that letter. Give it to the mayor and be the carrier of that letter and that message, and then communicate with me, and let's take the process forward. And hopefully when the funding reaches me, and when it arrives very soon, it could already be here, I will be able to fly out and then meet with you and the mayor, and give the mayor the face-to-face support and a deeper comprehension of how simple this really is. And the key thing is that when the mayor does this, like Ron Higgins experienced, the mayor will become a hero. Literally overnight, the mayor becomes a hero of the people, not just the people of his own community. There will be skeptics, of course, but they turn very quickly when they see the benefits come. And the benefits come in the form of the funders when they start to approach the mayor. And when the mayor becomes the hero, he starts to receive thousands of emails from people around the world supporting the mayor, wishing him good luck, and congratulating the mayor for the decision that he or she has taken to do this and to follow this path. So the mayor starts to feel good, because the mayor feels that he or she is suddenly getting support, not just only from their own people, but from people around the world. And that grows the ego, that grows the feeling of support and the confidence in the mayor. And these are all the very important parts of the puzzle and the support group, that we have a global support group in the Ubuntu movement. I just met a guy in Vienna. A guy came all the way from Romania. He actually lives somewhere else now in Germany, I think. He's a dentist from Romania, living in Germany or the UK, I forget now. And he wants to start a one small town in Romania. And he's extremely excited about this in Romania. I believe Romania is perfect for this. Because from what I was explained is that people in Romania actually retained much of the cohesive Ubuntu philosophy under the communist regime and then what then followed and so forth. And many of the communities have still retained that communal supportive structure within those communities. So for them to switch over to the contributionism model is a tiny little switch in their minds, and they're already doing it in many ways. So I look forward to see what happens in Romania in the next few weeks. Once our friend, whose name I forget, I'm sorry, gets the letter and translates it into Romanian and presents it to the mayor. So all this stuff is happening. I wish I could be there. I wish we had the funding right now for me to be able to go around and support and be there in more ways than one, or actually send funding there so they could take time and set up the structures to just actually set up an office there to manage these things. And this will all come once we get funding. Imagine if 35,000 people donated $10 a month. That's, what is it? That's $350,000 a month. We can move mountains with that kind of money. That's insane. Even if half of those people, half of 35,000 members donated $10 a month, it's $150,000 a month or whatever it is. That's a huge amount of money, people. We could literally move mountains. We could go and fund a one small town ourselves. So that's where I'm going with this. The funding is critical here on every possible level. Sarah Adams, this might be a dumb question, but are you on Patreon? Thanks for that question, Sarah. Yes, we checked out Patreon. I launched, I just launched a Patreon page to support my research here at the Ancient Civilizations and the Stone Circle Museum, and my own home base that keeps me going and keeps me alive. I launched a patron page to support the Ubuntu, support the Stone Circle Museum, because the Stone Circle Museum is the home for some very precious and unique tools and artifacts of origins of humankind, ancient civilizations that lived here, and it's a one of its kind museum in the world. I'm finishing the building of it, so I've got to know Patreon from that. I tried to launch an Ubuntu Patreon membership. I will have to go back there and launch it. There was some problem with the page. It kept kicking me out, and I eventually gave up. So again, it's an IT thing. Sometimes when I struggle with the IT and these websites, if it's not easy for me, if I can't do it with ease, after trying for 2 or 3 days, I give up and move on to other things, and then I come back to it, because it starts to take up a lot of your time. And if I spend 3 days and I don't succeed, I need to go back to finding ways of making money and bringing cash flow into keeping us alive. And at the moment, it's the tours and the book sales and my live presentations and my live talks that keep the money coming in, that keeps the Ubuntu movement alive. So Patreon, I'll revisit it, yes, and launch an Ubuntu patron page that will be hopefully another form of funding. And what we can do is potentially use that as a future, but we need to discuss this in more detail. Possibly use Patreon as a potential funding mechanism for other projects that people are doing under the Ubuntu banner. But then it will have to come through the Ubuntu head office, Ubuntu Planet website. So people go to Patreon through the Ubuntu Planet website so that everyone knows it's a legitimate Patreon fundraising activity. Otherwise, you can imagine people take the Ubuntu logo, they put it on whatever nonsense they want to do, and other people think that it comes through me or via me. I'm aware of it. And I've had to stop and literally get abusive with some people that have started raising funds for stuff that I would never want to raise funds for or would not want to be associated with, because it really runs against what the Ubuntu movement stands for and what we're trying to do, and especially our strategy with one small town, one small gathering. So the fundraising thing is a very sensitive issue, really, and it comes with all kinds of problems. And for some reason, people think that I get millions of dollars of funding and I'm squandering that money on all kinds of crap. Well, I don't know where people get that information. Come visit me and see where I live, what kind of cars I drive, and how we struggle from month to month to survive, and you realize that that is not the case. So Patreon, thank you. Next, can you add Spanish translation to your notes? Yes, Spanish translations. I need to follow up. Spanish translation. Where is the Spanish translation at the moment? I don't know. But we're going to have an Italian translation soon. I just met Christina in where did she come? She came all the way. She drove for 5 hours from Italy to see me in Zurich, Switzerland, and she's translating the Ubuntu book into Italian. So that's going to be available soon. I will also need to go online and load all the translations, because we have a Swedish translation, we have a Czech translation, we have a German translation, we have a Russian translation, we have a Zulu translation, we have several translations. I still need to go and load them onto Amazon so people can actually buy the book, a physical book in that language. And again, when I tried to do this a few months ago, I came up against some IT problems and IT challenges that I, as a non-IT person, couldn't handle. So after 3 or 4 days of trying to upload these books, I stopped and gave up, and I have to go back and try it again. These are just, again, ongoing IT problems and challenges, but I need to make those books available. I've got them. They're just not available online because I haven't been able to load them online. I need an IT person to help me with these things. Next question. Bob McCullum. Hi, Bob. Michael, when we talked in Phoenix, you mentioned having a dues system requiring members to contribute an amount per month to be a member. Well, wouldn't that solve the money problem? Yes, Bob, thanks for bringing that up. Well, that's exactly what we launched. If you go onto the Ubuntu Planet website right now, you'll see that there's a membership. We've changed the Ubuntu membership to the active members, or basically Ubuntu members who can just sign up and be on the database and receive emails, or active Ubuntu members who sign up for an $11 a month membership fee. Unfortunately, since we launched that, we've had less than 100 people sign up for the Ubuntu monthly membership fee. So that's where we stand right now. So I hoped that many people would do that and change from just being an Ubuntu member and receiving, the updates and that, to actually becoming an active participating member. That has not happened. So it shows me that people want to be part of it, but not everyone's either got the money or the conviction or the will to participate and add financially. I don't know why, but that's the reality that I face. So spread the word, tell people to sign up and make a contribution. Like I said, even 1,000 people contributing $10 or $11 a month, that will change everything. 1,000 people will actually allow us to run a proper, successful Ubuntu office. Pay our bills, pay our rent, pay our electricity, pay our petrol money, allow me to travel overseas probably once a year, and also, most importantly, pay a permanent full-time PA or an office manager that answers emails and gets back to people. Because I can't do that anymore. I simply cannot do that. I need to work to survive, and I cannot spend all day, every day answering emails. And Emma can no longer do that either. So, and we can employ a full-time IT person. So we need to employ 2 permanent people, IT and office manager, and possibly an administrator, person that helps to administrate the movement. So actually 3 full-time jobs and the expenses for the Ubuntu office. So 1,000 monthly members for $11 a month will make us successful. But we are far from that. We're sitting on about 150 members at this stage that are actually making a monthly contribution. That is a terrible admission to make. It makes us look weak. I feel quite bad about that personally. It hurts me to say that, because it shows me that everybody wants to be saved. Everybody wants to get out of the system, but very few people are actually prepared to actually put their money where their mouth is and do something from that perspective, knowing that at this stage, money will solve our problems because we need to use money to solve our problems. So that's the reality, okay, in case you're wondering. Next, Bob. So I hope that answers your question, Bob. KV, I don't know who KV is. Regarding the letter to the mayor, I will download it and send it to the mayors of the communities in my area, Boulder, Colorado. Fantastic. Thanks, KV. Just please let me know who you're sending it to. Email me at contact@ubuntuplanet.org. Tell me, letters to mayors, so I notice it, and because I can only respond to emails that are really critical, that deal with the one small town issues. I cannot respond to people telling me their life story and et cetera, et cetera. I love it. I love you dearly, but I can't. It's just not enough hours in the day, right? This is where we take action. And we can share life stories at the one small gathering. That's the place where we share life stories and get to know each other and face-to-face and all that. But I can't do that with hundreds of emails every day of people from all over the world, and sometimes in different languages that need translations. So thank you for doing that in Boulder, Colorado. I don't know who KV is, but email me and let me know. Okay, what about GoFundMe? This is Robert in California. What about GoFundMe, Star Fundraiser? Robert, thank you. I've tried GoFundMe various times for various things. It has helped sometimes and helped very badly at other times. Unfortunately, GoFundMe is not a solution for us because we have an ongoing movement, and GoFundMe is basically for special events and special. It's not an ongoing thing. So the only way we're going to make this work is if our members actually make a monthly contribution. And GoFundMe we might implement if we have a specific event. And as you may know, what really personally, financially crippled me was my firm belief in creating the Ubuntu Conscious Music Festival in Kansas City in December last year in 2017. And then the Ubuntu Festival in April 2018 in South Africa. I firmly believe that I would get the support of thousands of Ubuntu members around the world. I was completely wrong. I lost pretty much all my money, all the savings I had, and some funding support from people for the Kansas City Conscious Music Festival. It was a phenomenal event, consciously an incredible event, but it cost me about $30,000. Mostly personal money that I had. At that stage, it was all the Bitcoins that I had saved up and all the money that I'd saved through Bitcoin that I spent on that. And after that, I believe that the Ubuntu Festival would get at least 1,000 Ubuntu members around the world to come and participate and fund that. I was completely wrong, and that pretty much cost me all my life savings and everything I had, and that's really driven us to this point where there is no money to be spent on the Ubuntu movement. And unless we get some funding. So we need 1,000 people to make this a successful movement. Anything more than that will allow us to literally move mountains and establish very strong offices in other countries around the world. So keep that in mind, spread the message, and encourage people to sign up for $11 a month. Sarah Adams. Hi, Sarah. Thank you for asking. How about inviting all members to subscribe to reoccurring payments? So much love and fortification to you. I have so much gratitude for your power presence on this earth at this time. Thank you, Sarah. I really appreciate it. We've done that, as you may have heard. If you go into ubuntuplanet.org right now, you'll see that the new membership structure is based on trying to entice and encourage people to actually, for the price of 3 cups of coffee a month, and this is how I've pitched it. For the price of 3 cups of coffee a month, you can become a contributing and an active member of the Ubuntu movement. So $11 a month, that's what we're asking. $11 a month, become an active, participating member of the Ubuntu movement, knowing that you're funding a movement that actually has a plan and a solution for the mess that we're in. One Small Town is a simple plan and a simple solution that everyone anywhere can embrace, get to learn, that can present to their mayor. So go online, Sarah, sign up for $11 a month, and then spread that message. Remember what I said earlier. If every current member of the Ubuntu database, which is about probably 50,000 people, including all the Facebook pages and so forth, if every member signs up brings one person a month to join us, we will have millions of members by the end of next year, possibly hundreds of millions of members. So go out there and bring a new member into this movement every month, just one member a month. That's a very small goal to set yourself. But if every member does this, the growth is exponential. It's a doubling effect. We're going into the quantum field, people. Quantum exponential growth. It's spectacular. So make that an objective for yourself, and make the $11 a month contribution like Sarah suggested and many others have suggested. We're doing it, but people are just not signing up. I don't know why. I can't answer that. I can launch a page if you want. The NAA might be interfering. Yeah. Well, there are many interferences that have come. For those of you like Rebecca and others that have been involved with Ubuntu and with myself for several years now, will be aware of how many times I've come under attack and other people have come under attack. And this is just a thing. We're a real threat to the current establishment and the cabal, but we're doing it with love in our hearts. We don't want to oppose, resist, or fight anyone. We're really bringing a solution to the people. This is why we moved out of politics and into bringing solution to existing mayors who may be members of certain political parties, or who may be non-members of any political party, who might just be a mayor appointed by the people who want to bring solutions to their towns. This is why we believe the one small town strategy is the simple strategy. That because mayors are just human beings and they may not like any political party, they might just be a beautiful human being that want to bring solutions for their town, their people, and their children and their families, because they live in those towns. So they want to make their towns beautiful places for themselves, and not just the members of their community, but for themselves as well and their children. So this is why the one small town strategy and the approach to the mayor is such a powerful thing. So yes, there are interferences, and we keep coming under attack. So when you start seeing real negative stories coming out, just understand that these are every now and then, these cycles, they come in cycles every now and then. I think we've sort of washed them out the way, and I've had to go through a very strict cleansing process here at my home base at the Stone Circle Ubuntu office in South Africa in Waterval-Boven. I've had wave after wave of infiltrators that come in pretending to be friends, and then after a few months they turn into your worst nightmare, your worst enemy, and start spreading horrible information about you on the social media that they just make up and just become your worst enemy. I don't know why this happens, but Sarah Adams, okay, we've done with that. Casey, and I think this is the last question, and I think we're probably going to come to an end because we're probably way out of time, over time now. Yes, we are already 11 minutes over time. So Casey, Michael, I'm looking into the website source. I cannot definitely work with any database right away. Okay, Cassia, please email me on michaeljtellinger@gmail.com or at contact@ubuntuplanet.org. Email me now. I'll get the email in the morning when I wake up, and I'll get back to you. If you can help us with a website and a database, I want to talk to you. And also to the other chap that spoke to me earlier about helping us with coding and the website, please email me. Let's talk on Skype so I know we talk face to face and I get to know you. We can identify where the needs are, and we don't rush into it and break down what we have. We take what we have and we build on what we have and make it better and stronger. That's really what we need to do from now. So, guys, this has been awesome. I hope that I've answered your questions and given you some exciting news and feedback. Thanks to Alethea in Smithers, Canada. That's awesome to see your face. You look like you're shining with excitement. It was awesome to see you. Lots of love and blessings to your family and all our friends in Smithers, Canada, and to all our other Canadian friends, to all our friends in North Frontenac, Mayor Ron Higgins, and all the guys up there that are doing amazing things, and everyone that joined us, also Rebecca, in the USA, and everyone else that joined us. Thank you so much. Let's try and make this a once-a-month event. I think it's really important that we do this and grow this to sharing information on a regular basis. I'm sending you lots of love and blessings to everyone. And remember, share this with everybody and try and bring one new Ubuntu member into the active membership once a month. Until next time, until we speak next time, Michael Tillinger from Waterfallboven, South Africa. Till later. Bye for now.